So, you're trying to get that solo flawless emblem for Prophecy. Maybe you don't know what weapons to use. Maybe you're struggling to just get past an encounter. Well, fear no more. I've compiled my process of how I was able to get a solo flawless Prophecy clear in Season 16 of Destiny 2. Here's how it went. Let's start where all solo flawless runs live and die. Let's start with the build we used. I decided to run Warlock for this dungeon. Warlock was what I used to get my solo flawless clear of Grasp of Avarice, so that's just what I felt most comfortable with. The next choice we need to make is our subclass. While Wall of Radiance is incredibly powerful, and that's how I got my solo flawless clear of Grasp, I decided to run with Voidwalker for Prophecy. You're going to be spending most of your time on the run for this dungeon, and remaining stationary in a well is rarely optimal, even for DPS. With the utility offered by Void 3.0, I felt Voidwalker was the best pick in terms of balancing survivability, ad clear, and DPS. For aspects within our Void subclass, I ran Chaos Accelerant and Feed the Void for overcharge grenades and Devour respectively, and for fragments, I ran Echo of Expulsion for more volatility, Echo of Obscurity for invisibility to get me out of tricky situations, and Echo of Remnants for longer lasting vortex grenades. I decided to run an Elemental Well build with volatile runs. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, as the potential with this build is through the roof. If you're unfamiliar with how it works, let me explain. For well makers, the mods that are going to generate our elemental wells for us, I've got both Elemental Ordnance and Elemental Armaments equipped. Elemental Ordnance gives us an elemental well when we get a grenade kill, and Elemental Armaments has the chance to give us a well on weapon kills. Obviously, I ran Volatile Flow, but I also ran Font of Might for a bit of extra damage and Well of Tenacity for extra damage resistance. Font of Might and Volatile Flow can be found in your Season Pass this season, but if you're missing any of the other mods, 801 at the Tower has a chance to sell them every day. Besides combat mods, I also ran with one ammo finder depending on what heavy weapon I was using, Harmonic Siphon to generate orbs of power with my SMG, double concussive dampener, a scavenger in line with my heavy weapon, and double outreach on my bond. For stats, I try to spec primarily into recovery and discipline. Recovery should be obvious as it simply keeps us alive, but our grenades are important because they keep our elemental well build up and running, as well as our devour buff. When picking an exotic to pair with this build, we want something that can help with ability regeneration, as our grenades are crucial. I initially started with Transversive Steps, since the auto reload was incredibly handy against the Phalanx, but I later decided to swap to Nezarec Sin. There may be a better choice than this, but since we're using a volatile SMG against ads, we're going to be constantly getting insane recharge rates on our abilities. I often had my grenade fully charged just seconds after throwing it. Finally, Witherhoard was my best friend in this dungeon. Witherhoard goes above and beyond to put in work, whether it be clearing scions, doing chip damage to a boss, or the ability to manipulate what color modes drop from killing knights. With the build out of the way, let's get into the actual gameplay. The most important thing you can learn from this video is to play slow. There's no rush at all, as none of the bosses are ever going to enrage or wipe you. You can take as many phases as you want for damage. Don't stress about committing to a one phase, all that matters is surviving and getting that clear. The intro section is pretty free. If you're struggling to get vision on a knight in an area without light or dark, utilize Witherhoard. Stick it onto them, then move into whichever area you need to be in. Additionally, make sure you're not tunnel visioning. I know this is pretty simple, but the thralls can really sneak up on you, and you don't want to lose your run before it even starts. That's just a sucky feeling. Once you've cleared the intro section, you're onto the Phalanx. For weapons, I decided to run with Witherhoard, Funnel Web, and a Palmyra B with auto-letting holster and explosive light. This is a tricky fight because there isn't a whole lot of cover for you to play around. Keep on the move and clear ads as much as you can. Make sure you're staying away from the boss too. He's got one of those taken boop shields that'll send you flying off the edge if you're not careful. If you get boop while you're holding a full stack of motes, you can try to melee back to the platform. You're going to have your Nova Bomb a lot during this encounter, and while you might want to hang on to it for DPS, don't be afraid to pop it in order to survive. If I see two knights clumped on each other early in the fight, I like to use my Nova Bomb on them just to get 5 motes quick. As long as you use it early enough, it is not hard to get your super back in time for damage. Each time you dunk a stack of motes, you're going to spawn a new wave of taken scions. This is usually when I like to use my grenade. They're weak enemies, which means you're getting a really easy elemental well. Once you dunk all 4 stacks of motes, DPS is going to begin. Once again, keep your distance from the boss. He's going to continue to try to knock you off the edge. Alternate between Witherhoard and your rocket for damage, and keep an eye on your surroundings. After a short period of time, taking goblins are going to spawn in and make the boss immune. Deal with them as soon as you can. Your grenade and your volatile rounds are going to be excellent for this. For whatever reason, Bungie gave us an insane amount of time to damage this boss, so it's realistically possible to get a 2-phase if you're cracked and on top of your goblins. I found going for a 3-phase more reliable, however. Once DPS ends, just rinse and repeat until the boss goes down. It takes a bit of time to get into the rhythm of things, but once you do, it becomes pretty self-explanatory. With that, your next objective is navigating the Wasteland. Before we head into the portal and enter the Wasteland, I like to swap to a linear fusion rifle. You've got quite a few hobgoblins to deal with in this area, and a linear fusion rifle is way more ammo efficient than a tracking rocket. Personally, I used a threaded needle with foldable weapon, but any LFR should do fine. This is one of the segments where you have no time pressure whatsoever, so go at your own pace. You've got 3 patches of Taken to fight, totaling 9 blights to extinguish. Keep an eye on Toland after you destroy each set of blights, as he'll poof away in the direction of the next wave. As for the giant invisible minotaurs, just do your best to avoid them. If push comes to shove and you can't focus on the blights, the minotaur will go down in 1 Nova Bomb and some spare change. After the Wasteland, you're onto the cube. Cube seems pretty intimidating at first, and for good reason, but just try to apply the same tactics from the Phalanx. Keep on the move, play around cover, and use your grenade to heal and spawn wells as needed. Fortunately, there is a lot more cover for us to play around this time. For loadouts, only one thing is changing. We're switching from 2 concussive dampeners to 1 concussive and 1 sniper damage resist. This will give you an easier time surviving the hobgoblins. As for weapons, we're also remaining with what we've currently got equipped. Wither Horde, Funnel Web, LFR. The LFR is going to give you the range you need to fight the hobgoblins, while also putting in damage on the bosses at the end of the encounter. You could potentially trade out Wither Horde for a sniper rifle, but I didn't feel comfortable doing that. When starting this encounter, figure out what side of the cube Toland is on, then immediately take out the hobgoblins. Taking out the hobgoblins will spawn 2 knights, but you'll have far more cover against them than the hobgoblins. There's also going to be a crowd of adds. I believe they are taking acolytes. Use a grenade to take them out, get your damage resist, then deal with the knights. Dunk your moats while avoiding the hobgoblins, which will respawn when you kill your knights, and move on to the next side of the cube. If you couldn't tell already, this encounter is a battle of stamina, as you need to repeat this process 4 more times to reach the boss, totaling 5 waves. Note that if Toland is on the ceiling, you're going to have to use 2 dunks to complete one of those 5 waves. Once you do, however, you're onto the bosses, 2 Taken Centurions. A Nova Bomb will make easy work of one of them, and even without a Nova Bomb, they're relatively fragile. Take your time with Wither Horde and your linear fusion to chip down the other before moving on. With the cube out of the way, you're now traveling the Wasteland once more. Adds will spawn, but you can totally bypass them via Sparrow. Follow the boss to the Ribbon Road where, once again, patience is key. You can use your Sparrow in here, but I recommend heavy caution when doing so. There are countless twists and turns that can really throw you off if you're not careful. Once again, slow and steady. Keep an eye out for sniper vandals as well. Your linear fusion rifle can come in handy here too. Once you're past the Ribbon Road, however, only one challenge stands between you and solo flawless. I found the same loadout we've been using to be pretty strong for the boss encounter. Wither Horde, SMG, LFR. Once again, play slow and safe, camp invis and devour as much as you need to. The arena you begin in doesn't have the best cover at first, but as soon as you cleanse your plate and kill 1 ogre, more areas become safe. Something important to note is after you kill all 3 ogres and clear the room of adds, you're able to enter the portal and begin DPS. However, if you're low on ammo, you can wait around in the main room and more adds will spawn. I did this on my successful run because I like using my super right at the beginning of DPS. When you enter the boss room and begin DPS, keep your distance. You want to be far enough that you have time to dodge if Kell throws a teleport attack at you, but close enough that your dark entropy debuff isn't getting incredibly high. The last thing you want to die from is a silly human error like not paying attention to your UI. When I first drop down, I do these actions in order. Move closer, stick the boss with Wither Horde to get its attention, get a few linear shots in now that I have access to its crit point, sidestep to a different platform to dodge the teleport attack. I like to go right, then throw my Nova Bomb at the boss. From there, I continue hitting the boss with the occasional strafe to get away from a teleport. Chase the boss as it moves, and most importantly, kill hobgoblins along the way. If you ignore the hobgoblins, they'll spend the entire DPS phase shooting you in the back, and nobody wants that. Don't be afraid to use your linear fusion ammo on hobs. As long as they die and you don't, that's a W. Do however much damage you can, then repeat until you're done. On my successful run, I was able to get a 4-phase, but if you need to go for a 5-phase, there's absolutely no shame in that. Note that the arena is going to change each time you finish DPS, similarly to the cube encounter. Some of the areas have better cover, some of them have worse. Just continue playing your life and using your grenades as you need, and you'll have your emblem in no time. And just like that, you got your clear. I hope, at least. Hopefully this guide was helpful in at least pushing you in the right direction. If so, let me know by dropping a like. And if you'd like more guides like this, let me know in the comments. Finally, if you like what you saw, feel free to check out my Twitch sometime. I'm trying to stream more now that school's coming to a close, and we always have a ton of fun. Anyways, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching and supporting me, and I'll see you all next time.